I got my parasite. Mm,
Oh, that's a cute one.
my Bobby's parasites. Okay, so anyway, my feeling about this hobby, and I've been doing this quite a while, is 99% of everything we hear in this hobby comes from inside the box thinking. There's a lot of stuff. Here's the box. You got to think outside the box. The most important thing inside the box is Bobby. And all of this crap is inside the box. These medications and this copper and I don't know what this is, Melaflix, methylene blue, and Chemiclean. That's all inside the box stuff. Everything in this hobby is about spots. Forget spots. All I hear about is spots. The spots don't mean anything. It's stupid. We should be focusing on making sure the spots don't affect the fish. Spots are parasites, right? There's more parasites in the world than liberals. There's parasites all over the place. They're the most common thing in the world. And Bobby posted something not long ago, and he showed he was trying to get me. He said there's like 60% of the fish in the ocean were said to have parasites on them and all of that. And I would disagree with that. I would say all the fish in the ocean have parasites because they're supposed to. And every fish in the ocean eats live fish, and they're eating parasites. Now, especially people on my buddy's site here, when you kill all the parasites, you're killing the fish. I know it sounds weird, but everybody who's got an old, healthy, fully quarantined tank out there, raise your hand. Now, let me look. I don't see anybody. I hear crickets. I don't see anybody's old, healthy tank.
Alisa was raising her hand.
Because there are no old, fully quarantined tanks. 10, 20 years is not old. That's the lifespan of a hermit crab. That's not old. And there's a reason for that. Because the most important thing that people fail to realize is stress. And when you put these fish in bare tanks with all these silly medications and PVC pipes and all of that, that looks nice to us, but we ain't fish. Most of us. I did go out with a girl look like a flounder. We're not fish. The fish have to feel like they're behind Bobby in the ocean over there. And every fish behind Bobby in the ocean.
Wait. I thought all of your girls are supermodels, according to your book.
According to my book, yeah, I have a lot of supermodels here. Wait a minute. I made a.
Oh, you have one. I remember.
No, I bottled my own wine, and this was the label on my wine bottle. Yeah, I'm big into supermodels. But anyway, what the hell was I talking about? Oh, stress is the biggest thing in this hobby. It has nothing, parasites and spots. That's silly to think about that stuff. You got to think about stress. And the most important thing is to eliminate the stress. So when we get a fish from the ocean, he's not stressed in the ocean. He's swimming around, minding his own business. But as soon as they collect him, he starts getting stressed. And then when you put him in the dealer's tanks, the quarantine tanks, the medication and all of that, the stress keeps building up. And stress makes, like I said in the last video, stress makes cortisol. We all have cortisol. I don't because I'm not stressed. But fish have cortisol when they're captured and put in a bare tank or when they're medicated, because medication, no matter what you're using it for, is poison. I don't care what you're using it for, it's poison. So you're trying to kill parasites for some stupid reason, it's poison. And what the stress does is it makes cortisol. Now, I know you're going to think I'm nuts. This is a chromosome. Got that? That's a chromosome. And what cortisol does to the chromosome, these things on the end are telomeres. And the cortisol from the stress shortens these things. This is your lifespan. The ends of these things, as we get older, these things shorten. And when they come off, we croak. Cortisol makes these shorter and gives them early death. That's why there's no old quarantined tanks. It shortens their life. The most important thing is to take that fish out of the ocean, throw it in your tank. Not a tank you started last Tuesday, because the bacteria is what makes the tank healthy. So if you got a tank that's been up for a while, you take the fish from the ocean, throw them in your tank, and it should live forever. I threw a fish in there yesterday from Petco. My best friend is sitting over here, and he came with me. Hello. Hello. Bobby met him, actually. There's a fish in there yesterday. I think it's a, what the hell is it?
Striped.
Striped blenny, poison fang blenny, something like that. I got it in Petco. I know everybody likes to go to Petco. I had to go to Petco for salt. Took it out of the bag and threw him in the tank. He'll live 10 years. No problem at all. But if you have a quarantine tank, you can't do that, because if you put them in the tank from the store, you're going to kill everything in your tank. There's a reason for that. And everybody fails to realize that. But it's not just throwing the fish in the tank. The tank has to be set up right. I think the tank behind you is set up right here, Alicia. It looks, I see a picture of that there.
And don't you have quarantine fish in there?
No.
I do, yeah. All of my fish,
Oh,
Yeah, she has
all of
quarantine.
my fish were quarantined.
And how old is the oldest fish?
Almost 5.
Almost
what?
5. Well, almost 5
Wow.
isn't too bad. There's fish in there that are almost 40. It's because of the, I don't know how to say this. On Humble's site and most of these sites, it seems like every other post is about disease. Disease is a nothing thing. It's a non-issue. If the fish are treated right, they don't get disease. They never get disease. There's never been a disease in this tank.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop you right there. If diseases aren't an issue, then why are so many people like losing their tanks to ick and velvet and every other disease out there?
Why?
These are people that not some of these people don't quarantine.
And you know why? Because you were here and you saw this tank, and I told you why. It's because of the quarantine and the medication people do to the fish, which is killing the
No. I'm talking about people that don't quarantine at all. People that bypass quarantine.
Yes,
and just
that's a good
throw the
question.
fish right in their tank.
That's a good question. If you set up the tank right and feed right, they won't get sick. Now, people think they feed right because they buy an expensive can of flake food or LRS food or frozen food or some top-notch food. That's not the right food. It works. It'll keep the fish alive. You want to see what's the right food for immunity? I'm going to show you. See that guy? You know what's in that worm? Immunity. Immunity. Because that worm has gut bacteria in it. All that crap that you buy for all that money, the pellets and all of that nonsense, there's no living bacteria in that stuff. The fish can't get immune without living bacteria. Now, they don't eat live worms every day. They eat, like frozen food, LRS and mysis and krill and all of that crap. But a couple of times a week, they get live worms. They get either chopped up earthworms or live blackworms. And if you read my stuff from 50 years ago, you would remember, Bobby, that when this hobby first started, I think it was on a Tuesday at 1970 or 19, whatever the hell it was. I was standing on the dock going like this, waiting for the ship to come in. I bought 7 blue devils. And at that time, nobody even knew what a blue devil was. They couldn't keep them alive. They didn't know anything about them. And I kept them alive. And then I was keeping discus. So I had blackworms. I started feeding them blackworms. In 7 weeks, they started spawning. In 1971, they were spawning. People couldn't keep a cow alive in 1971. They were spawning. That was from the blackworms. And ever since then, I haven't had any parasites in there because I always feed worms. And I never use this. This copper is from 1970 something. It's still it's still about a quarter full. I never use this stuff. Only if I get a fish sometimes for free. Sometimes I get a copper band or something for free. And I want to cure it. You got to use copper if the thing is like has an angelfish giving it mouth-to-mouth respiration or something. Otherwise, this stuff is garbage. I never use medications or quarantine. That's why those fish are living forever. Now, Bobby's going to say, and I know it because he's my good buddy, he's going to say that the fish are stuck in a tank. Oh, you're back. The fish are stuck in a tank. And eventually, there's not a lot of room in there, so the parasites are going to grow to big proportions, and they're going to overtake the fish, right, Bobby?
Well, I think you're.
I know that's what you were going to say.
It's all about feeding, but there's other factors at play here. So for example,
It's not all about feeding, but that's one thing. Go ahead.
your tank is 50 years old. Do you know how much biodiversity you've got in that tank? You know how many different strains of bacteria that you have in that
But it
tank?
wasn't always 50 years old, Bobby. It was 2 years old at one time. And it wasn't sick.
But I'm saying what it is right now today. What I guess what I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is that your methods are very hard to duplicate. They're very so for me,
No.
okay, for me, I can say I'm successful, whatever, but I'm just kind of being a blowhard unless I can like teach others like what I do. Like, are my methods repeatable? So I'm just saying that like when people try to do what you do, and even if they do feed right, even if they do feed worms, even if they do feed like LRS, they feed where they fail because there's some other things that you are doing with your tank, or there's some other conditions with your aquarium that they're not able to repeat. For
Why
example,
aren't they able to repeat? This is artificial seawater in here.
but it
It's
has
all artificial. I changed it today. That's because they didn't read my book, by the way. It's all artificial seawater.
but here's the thing, throughout the years, because we've had this discussion throughout the years, you've used ozone. You've used a diatom filter. There's a lot of different things you have done throughout the years, which may or may not be the reason why you're able to do what you do.
Hold that thought.
See, here's the thing. Okay.
I think we should test a DNA test on his tank. I would be curious to see what kind of bacteria.
You see what Bobby just said now? I use a diatom filter. $100 you build the thing. It's not that hard. It's a simple thing to build. I used it today.
But a diatom filter will
Diatom filter is the
parasites.
key. If that's the key, do that. But I only use that every month, a few months, and I don't do it for parasites because parasites are stupid. I don't care about parasites. I like parasites. If they were cute, I'd keep them like miniature poodles. I like parasites. And I do use ozone in there. Not enough to do anything. The only thing the ozone does is keep the skimmer a little cleaner. That's all it does.
Ozone in the water kills parasites.
If that's the key, then use ozone. It's a cheap thing.
But that's the thing. You have to be able to teach people like this is exactly what you do step by step by step. And if you do all these things, then you don't have to quarantine. That's my point.
That's why I wrote the book. And remember, on your site, I wrote how to start a tank without quarantining, step-by-step instructions. And nobody does it right. Everybody says, I threw the fish in the tank and they died. But they don't do it right. You got to do every step. You can't put the fish in the tank and feed flakes and pellets and things like that. And you can't have PVC elbows, and you can't have a big cave in the middle of the tank. It won't work.
But what I'm saying is that if you quarantine and you do it step by step by step, you can be just as successful.
No, you can't.
But Elisa just said she had quarantine fish and some were 5 years old.
Okay, everybody, 5 years old, Bobby. Every fish in there is 5 years old. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, raise your hand if you got a 25-year-old fully quarantined tank. Okay, everybody who's got a 40-year-old tank that doesn't quarantine. Let me see. I see 300, 400, 500 people. You cannot be just as successful with a quarantine tank because there are none. You could say a 10-year-old tank is successful. It's not, because there's two tanks in there. Their lifespan is 20 or 30 years. If your fish is not living to die of old age, how could you tell if it's successful? If you have a tank 10 years old and your clownfish could live 40 years, how could you tell a tank is successful if the fish didn't die of old age? If a person dies at 9 years old and he could live to 80, that's not successful.
So, Paul, do you think it's because of you believe in gut bacteria and the live foods, right?
That's one big part of it. That's only one. That's not the only thing.
Right.
And if you're not feeding live food, your fish are not immune. I don't care what kind of food you feed or how expensive it is. You're not feeding live bacteria, they're not immune.
You got to look at this from a practical standpoint. If you're trying to help other people, how many other people are willing to culture their own worms inside their house to feed their fish tank?
But if they want to keep the fish, I mean, how many people could keep an elephant without keeping elephant food near there? I mean, if you're going to get a fish tank, a saltwater tank, you got to be able to take care of the thing.
But my point is, if you quarantine, you don't have to grow worms inside your house to feed your aquarium. You can offer other foods. Actually, there's a lot of, you talk about pellets. I'm not a huge fan of pellets, but I know people that feed, what is that TDO Chroma Boost? There's a lot of people, that's all they feed, and they have very successful aquariums.
when you say very successful, it's different than when I say very successful. When I say very successful, all the fish are dying of old age, and the ones that can spawn are spawning. Feeding pellets, they're not going to do that.
No, not every single your fish in your aquarium dies of old age. Some die.
No, a lot of them jump out.
Well, they
Yes,
jump out. Right.
a lot of them jump out or get eaten by something because I stupidly put something in there that I shouldn't have put.
But the other thing is if a tank is 10 years old and the fish have been there 10 years, it could very well live another 10, 20, 30.
They can, but that doesn't mean they will. How many 10-year-old fully quarantined tanks are there?
Public aquariums have plenty of those.
Public aquariums don't count. I have that argument with Randy all the time on Reef to Reef. Public aquarium is the ocean. That's the same as the ocean. It's different. The fish are not stressed.
Public aquariums have large displays. They have small displays. It's not every public aquarium has like a 40,000 gallon, shark tank.
And their small displays are not very old. I'm a volunteer in one over here. They're not very old. I don't even know of a 10-year-old fully quarantined medicated tank. Not even a 10-year-old.
I do. I don't have one because I keep moving around, but I do.
You don't count. You got your stuff in a glass someplace.
No, I know people.
You're not immune though. I can take any fish, as you know, from the ocean, and I have taken sea robins, flounders, striped bass, and thrown them in eels.
Put a powder blue tang in that tank or an Achilles tang.
Well, there's a hippo tang and a Tamini tang in there. Well, that's not good. People tell me I don't have the right kind of fish. There's a hippo tang. They live 10 years, 20 years. And there's a Tamini tang, there's a long-nosed butterfly in there.
So the reason I'm saying a powder blue or an Achilles, because that genus of tang they have the thinnest slime coat of probably any fish I know. So they're probably the most parasite-prone fish.
It's not the thickness of the slime coat. It's the anti-parasitic properties in the slime.
Or maybe it's both.
But powder blue tangs come from the ocean. They're surrounded by parasites. If you take any powder blue tang out of the ocean, it's going to have parasites all over it.
They're usually collected in crest zones, which have high flow, so not as many parasites can attach to them.
Well, but they still got parasites on them, Bobby. And we humans have parasites all over.
They're in the ocean. There's a gazillion gallons of water diluting those parasites versus your 125-gallon aquarium.
Well, how come they're not eating up my fish? I throw parasites in there.
Well, most of those fish, except for I think the long nose and the hippo tang, are blennies and gobies and wrasses and stuff like that. I mean, I know a guy that has like 40 wrasses in a 150-gallon tank, and the wrasses look beautiful, but he keeps wanting to put a powder blue tang in there as like the centerpiece fish. That always, gets covered and it can die every time he attempts it.
Well, over the last 55 years, I can show you my logbook. There's been naso tangs, lipstick tangs, powder blue tangs, Moorish idols. There's been every kind of fish that you could name in that tank, and none of them died of parasites. I can put all the naso tangs you want in there. I don't like tangs. I only put the damn thing in there because people tell me I can't keep them. I don't even like tangs. And I hate angelfish. I had one, you saw it, I gave it away. I don't like angel. It was a big, beautiful Korean angel.
Yeah, Korean angel. Yeah.
I gave it away. I don't like the damn things.
I'm just saying, Paul, that your methods work for you, but they're not easily repeatable for other people.
What's the part that's not easily repeatable? Don't forget, it's artificial seawater, and I'm feeding mostly LRS food.
Well, but the thing, okay, but you do other things. For example, you collect mud and dirt from the Long Island Sound and you put that in your tank.
I do. I haven't this year, but I do.
Right. So that has bacteria in it. That has other.
Yeah, and you could get that from the ocean behind you.
Well, I can get it where I live, but not. Some people are landlocked. Not everybody lives by the coast.
I don't know if that has anything to do with it. It might.
It might.
And I also have an undergravel filter. People laugh at that.
So an undergravel filter.
Anybody can do that.
For people who are not familiar with an undergravel filter, it actually sucks the water. Well, is yours reverse?
No, it blows the water. It's a reverse.
It's a reverse.
It blows the water up.
It blows the water up.
I don't think that has anything to do with parasites. The reverse underground filter was the only filter around in 1971. That's why
it could pull parasites into the substrate.
Come on, Bobby. The gravel is gigantic and the parasites go right through it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying an undergravel filter could, in theory, pull. My point is there are a lot of different things going on that could explain why you don't have parasite.
Okay. Now, before you said that the stuff I do is not repeatable. If you think ozone is the key, then use ozone. It's very cheap. If you think a diatom filter is the key, if you think a diatom filter is the key, then make a diatom filter. It's not a big deal.
A lot of people do what you do and they just run a UV sterilizer. So, I mean, probably the most common, I call it disease management tool that people use is UV sterilizer. They will have a UV sterilizer. They'll run at the right flow rate. And I mean, they'll go years and years and years. They don't quarantine fish and everything's fine. And then all of a sudden something happens. They have a power loss or maybe
I had one 2 days ago.
And with them, I've had plenty of people that contact me and say, hey, look, I've had this tank set up 5-10 years. I was running a UV, everything was fine, lost power, and everybody's covered in white spots, fish are dying. What do I do? And I'm like, I mean, what do you tell them?
You know that I'm against ultraviolet filters too. I'm against UV filters.
Why is that?
Because you're killing parasites, and I don't want to kill parasites.
Well, you're not killing them all. You're just sort of like reducing the parasite load in this.
Oh, yeah, but I don't want to reduce the parasites. I want more parasites. The more parasites, the healthier the fish. I just posted on your site a scientific study from some woman who's some parasite expert. The link is on my thread there someplace, where they studied these reefs all over the place, and the reefs, someplace in the South Pacific, the ones with the most parasites had the healthier fish, because the parasites raise the immunity of the fish, not the other way around. If you kill the parasites, you reduce the immunity, you lose the immunity of the fish. That's why. Now, people quarantine and stuff like that. That's not easy. You got to take the fish, leave it there for I don't know how many days, and if it gets something, you got to medicate it, and then
you don't have to medicate to quarantine.
I said if it catches something, in the quarantine, you have to medicate it. Now, suppose the thing is in quarantine and it gets ick or something like that, then you treat it for ick. How many times on your site people treat the thing for ick and then it gets some bacterial thing?
That can happen.
It gets that because you screwed up the immunity of the fish. When you're quarantining, you're not reducing the bacteria. So if you kill the parasites,
because copper is an immunosuppressant, and sometimes copper then lowers the immune system, and then the fish gets a bacterial.
It's counterproductive. Now you got a bacterial disease.
It's like if quarantine didn't work, nobody would do it. Nobody would do it. There's businesses,
and nobody has an old quarantine tank. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
There's businesses now that are selling quarantine fish. They would not be able to stay in business if quarantine didn't work. It would just,
quarantine works temporarily. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There's no old quarantine tanks that I ever found. I mean, old is not 10 years. It's got to be the age of the oldest fish. And some of our fish could live 40, 50 years.
They can?
Well, my clowns are 35.
Mm-hmm.
A stupid carp could live 60 years. I mean, fish live a long time. Lungfish could live 60, 80 years. But tangs and stuff generally live about 18, 20 years, something like that. My mandarin is 10. I mean, how many people get 10-year-old mandarins? It's the simplest fish in the world, but people can't keep them. Why is that? Because they don't have a natural tank. There's no old quarantine tank. Show me one. This hobby has started in 1971. There's millions of tanks, no old quarantine tanks.
I would say this quarantine, at least on the hobbyist level, has really only been around maybe 10, 15 years that people have been seriously considering. Look, okay, so I had my first reef tank in about the 1980s. I never quarantined. Paul, I went like decades without quarantining until it just, for whatever reason, got to the point when I just couldn't do it anymore. I could not keep a disease-free tank. I could not keep, ick and whatever.
You move every couple of weeks. You're different.
Well, not always,
And I bet you put medication on those fish too, because you're medication crazy.
I believe that if something is sick, if a living thing is sick, sometimes you have to use medications. Yes.
That's right. And the thing shouldn't get sick. See, and I said on your site, you have all of these things on how to cure diseases, but you don't have one thread on how to prevent diseases. It's all about curing diseases. My thing is the fish shouldn't get the disease in the first place, and they don't. Now, how much more can I prove it? That tank, nothing ever gets sick. Why? You say people can't do those methods. There's an under gravel filter. They sell them in Petco.
Right.
There's LRS food and worms. You know where I got those worms? Out in the street.
But here's the thing. So for everything that you're saying, you're recommending, there's like a downside. Okay, an under gravel filter. Well, people don't like using an under gravel filter because it turns into a detritus trap and then it builds up nitrates.
It's 55 years old. There's no detritus in there.
Well, what are your nitrates? So my point is, some people
know.
like to keep their nitrates low, especially if they're growing like SPS, acro, stuff like that. So there's
I think the nitrates are about 20 the last time I tested them.
20? I thought they were a lot higher than that.
They used to be 60 at one time.
Right.
But I don't know why. The undergravel filter used to make nitrates because they ran them the wrong way. They ran them from the top down. That's the way we used to run them in freshwater tanks. That's why that has an undergravel filter, because when I was keeping discus and all those things, the only kind of filter you had was an undergravel filter. Everybody had undergravel filters in those days. Yep. When I started the saltwater tank, I just threw salt in it and it became a saltwater tank with an undergravel filter. But don't forget, I was the only one with salt water. I started the damn hobby. There was nobody with salt water in those days. There was one store in Manhattan, and I bought the fish. Nobody knew anything about it except Robert Strawn, who started in the 40s. And I took my knowledge from him. He started in the 40s, and he had successful tanks. But he didn't understand bacteria. He thought an undergravel filter was something that you had to change every once in a while to clean. And I don't think he used it in reverse. This reversed undergravel filter, in my other, it's only here 8 years, but in my other house, it was there 40 years. When I lifted it up to move here, it was disgusting. I mean, it was completely filled with detritus. But in between all that detritus was those little red tube worms. So they were living, they were healthy. Everything was healthy in that tank, and nothing ever got sick. Now, if you see a tank 55 years old where nothing ever gets sick, you don't think that's a successful method? On your site, I could go on there now, and every other post is about diseases. Why?
That's not true.
Well, maybe every fifth post. The fish shouldn't get sick. They should never get sick. Well, yeah, I shouldn't say that. I have a yellow, some kind of a, I don't know if you could see it. There's a yellow wrasse in there. There's 2 yellow wrasses in there.
Mm.
One of them has a little growth on his bottom of his chin. I don't know what it is. I don't care. I don't consider that a disease problem. Disease problems, I'm talking about ick, and you talk about uranema, which I never heard of, and velvet and black ick and all these things. Those are the diseases I'm talking about, the communicable diseases, like when we had COVID, that kind of disease. I mean, they could get Popeye, they can get swim bladder, they could get, something could bite their head off. You know, there's a lot of other things that get. I'm only talking about mostly parasites and bacterial diseases. There's never a bacterial disease in there. I don't care if the fish gets bitten in half, he doesn't get a bacterial disease. It's because of his immunity. Really. My best friend is sitting right here. He can tell you, he's seen this tank grow from 50 years ago.
Mm.
Never been a parasite or a disease in there. And everything I do is so simple, much simpler than what you do. I don't have any hospital tank, any of that crap. You just take the fish from, now, there is a caveat, I think you call it, to this. You can't do this with a brand new tank that you started last Tuesday. It won't work because the new tanks that you start are not healthy. I don't give a damn what you do to it. It's not, you can quarantine it to death. You can do whatever you want. They're not healthy, a new tank, because there's not enough bacteria in there.
What does someone with a new tank do? Because they either have to do what you're saying or they have to quarantine.
They have to do what you're saying. They have to quarantine.
So when do they stop quarantining?
Well, it depends on the tank, but when you get a big growth of things on the tank, when you get, algae and stuff covering the rocks and everything, then you could start introducing live food. And then with the live food, and probably, well, it took me 7 weeks, so probably in 7 weeks, they'll get immunity.
I'll actually counter with that. I think that, okay, if they're going to do what you do, if they're going to attempt that, they can maybe from day one not quarantine if that's what they want to do, if they order all live rock. Right? Because then what's the difference? I mean, if you order all live rock,
it would be very helpful.
Right.
It would be very helpful.
Okay, I will say this. So back in the 80s, when I first set up my first reef tank, diseases were not as big of a deal. I mean, yeah, every now and then you saw ick on a fish, but it wasn't a big deal. However, back then, most tanks, well, pretty much all tanks were set up using 100% live rock. We didn't even realize back then that we could even use, I didn't know anybody that used dry rock back then. Now, because it's more economical and more environmentally friendly, most people set up a tank using all dry rock or maybe 80% dry rock, and they'll add some live rock. So to me, that's probably one of the big differences is it's taking longer for, I call them parasite predators, to build up inside of a display tank because people are not using live rock. They're using mostly dry rock.
That's a big problem because people spend a fortune on stupid things, doses and controllers. They spend hundreds of dollars on that when the most important thing is live rock.
Right.
That's the most, you could throw away all that crap and just have live rock in the tank and an air bubbler, and you'll probably be more successful than if you put doses and all that crap in it. It costs hundreds of dollars.
Live rock is, I don't know, what is it, like $10 a pound nowadays? I don't even know what
I
live
don't
rock
know.
is nowadays.
I have no
Like
idea.
100 pounds of live rock. And
This tank was started with dry rock, and I had a lot of problems because they didn't sell rock in those days. I went to Hawaii, the Caribbean, and I had to bleach it in the room because it stunk and carried on my lap.
We agree on one thing. Using live rock to set up a new tank is very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always said that.
I'd agree with that.
That's the most important thing.
So when I set up on 180, I probably won't use 100%, but I'll use maybe 60% dry rock and I'll use about 40%.
Well, yeah, whatever you could afford. And what I'm vehemently against is PVC elbows. I'm in my workshop here. I'm surrounded by PVC elbows, but I wouldn't put them in my fish tank because fish hate that. They sell bricks in Home Depot with the holes in them. They're about $2 a piece. They're clay, much better. The fish go in the holes and everything, and it kind of looks almost like real rock because it's red and it's not shiny and white. They're cheap and they're inert. If you want to put, your disease shit, it won't.
If people want to use a brick in quarantine, that's fine. If they want to use, some people paint the PVC black because that's supposed to be less stressful. I mean,
they can. I don't know what to paint, but if you use, I don't quarantine, but if I did, I would have a whole tank of those bricks with the holes in them because those holes are small and a little bit irregular. You could put them together and the fish will feel safe. I scuba dive. So does he, my best friend here. We've been scuba diving for, I don't know how many years. And if you look at a real coral reef, it's all holes. It's nothing but holes. Not holes like some people make a cave in the middle of a tank and they think that's a hiding place. That's not a hiding place. You need cracks and crevices, but you need the cracks and crevices the same size as the fish. So the fish gets in there and his sides are hitting the sides of the rock. That's very important. And he could hit, and he could go out through the front. He can't, because fish don't back up too good. They got no reverse. So if you make tunnels and stuff where the fish could go in there and hide, but he could also go forward and get out. That's very important, and it de-stresses the fish because the fish won't go in a hole that he can't get out of.
You can use what are those terracotta pots? You can use those in quarantine if you want. You can
use terracotta pots.
There's no rule that says you have to use white PVC in a quarantine tank. That's just what a lot of people use.
That's what I see, and that's bad. It's terrible. If the fish could make expressions, they'd look like this. They can't make. You don't see the fish's expression, but they're terrified at that stuff. If I put a piece of PVC in there now, the fish wouldn't go near it for a month. They hate PVC because it's unnatural. All have to be natural. And if you have to,
fish are gonna go like this.
Yeah, they look like that. If you, all right, wait a minute. Oh.
Next time I quarantine a fish, I'll have to tell it, don't stay away from that white PVC. What is he doing now?
I think he's dosing himself. Crown Royal, right? Yep.
Nice.
Come for me.
Oh, is that it? Is that the oh, nice. See, I just got some cheap beer.
This costs about as much as 10 copper bands. Anyway, because you're telling me people can't do what I do. Yeah. It's simple. It's so simple. It's ridiculous.
How many people are using your methods? How many, we'll just say, students do you have that are...
The other two tanks that are over 30, 40 years old, I use my method. And there's only 3 old tanks that I know. One is Subsea on the other thing, and one is I think it's Atoll. They're on Reef to Reef. There's 3 tanks that I know of that are over 30 years old. They use my method. They don't quarantine or anything like that.
So there's 2 other people you know that have been able to duplicate your success. Is that
I only know about 4 people with fish tanks. You don't even have one.
You know people online. I mean, kind of, sort of, right?
No, yeah, and the people I know online, none of them have an old quarantine tank. 5-10 years is not an old tank. Those fish have no immunity. They're not going to live long because of the telomeres. Don't let me show this again. On the end of their genes. It shortens the stress shortens their life because they're full of cortisol. It's very simple.
Hey, Paul, if you get on social media, you'll know more people.
I know too many people now. I got friends from kindergarten.
I keep telling him he needs to get on like Facebook. He would be hugely popular on Facebook.
I don't need to be hugely popular. I'm old. I'm going to die soon. I don't want to be any more popular. I'm fine.
You're going to live to be 100.
Yes.
My mother did. So let me tell you the other important fact. Okay?
I got a question.
Go ahead.
All right, so I'm jumping in a little late, so I'm trying to get a little backstory on this. You were saying that
you're breaking up.
You're breaking up, Tom.
Breaking up.
Sorry, I'm just leaving school. When you quarantine fish, you're thinking that it lessens their lifetime?
Say that again?
Is that so? I'm trying to understand. You were saying that like when people quarantine fish, they're shortening their lifespan.
A lot.
Okay, so I'm just speaking from personal experience. So I got a Atlantic blue tang secondhand that ended up with ick as soon as I put it in my tank, which I had not had ick before. I ended up having to break my 300-gallon tank down and quarantine all them fish for 93 days.
Yeah.
All of them ended up living. How, I have no idea. I had them in a 40-gallon breeder, and there's about 12 fish in there. I was doing water changes like once every week. I mean, just keep them alive. I kept it fallow for 92 days. Well, I ended up having to sell that fish about 2 years later to another woman actually in Raleigh. Her name was Gwen. She moved to Florida, so this has been almost a 8-year span, and that fish is still one of the biggest fish in her 300-gallon aquarium and healthy as can be.
Is there a question in there?
So my question is, what is your life expectancy change on
of a tang?
On a longevity of a tang, correct?
Tangs live about 25, 30 years.
Okay, so that fish still a full lifetime.
I mean, I never had one that long. I never had one 30 years. The oldest one I think I had was about 10. And I usually after 10 years, I kill them in an accident. Okay. But they live a lot longer than that. As a matter of fact, I think I euthanized one because he got that HLLE. Now they don't get that anymore. But that was, years and years ago. But I had a Moorish idol for about 5 years, which is a disgrace. You got a light on you? Or you weren't even in a car?
Yeah. So moving on. So Katie have a question.
I thought it was me.
Tim, moving on. Katie had a question, and I don't want to miss that. So she's asking, with the worms, are you concerned about pesticides and other chemical they can pick up from the environment, or does that add to the overall immunity?
No, it doesn't add to their overall immunity. The worm, when it rains, I go out picking up worms. I mean, I buy them also in Walmart, like $3, you get a million worms.
Well, but you also culture like your own white worms, right?
White worms, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. The earthworm, well, I get back to the question here. The earthworms, it's true. I'm surrounded by golf courses and farms here. I don't collect the worms next to the golf courses and the farms for that reason, because there's all bug killer and insecticide and weed killer and everything over there. But in between the farms, there's a lot of areas that's just forest. I collect the worms there because I know there's no sides and stuff like that. But I put the worms in a bucket and I feed them banana peels. So if you keep them in a bucket for even after a week or two, whatever's inside of them comes out.
With dirt.
With
dirt.
With dirt. And it comes.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of bacteria in it, and that's what I want in the worm. I want the bacteria. We have this problem in this hobby that dirt and bacteria is bad. It's not. It's good. That's what keeps them alive. And
if people don't feed worms,
they should.
If they don't, do they need to quarantine? Is that like how big of a deal?
If you don't feed any live food, yes. You can only get gut bacteria from live food, and gut bacteria controls your immunity.
Well, you can actually get gut bacteria from frozen food because the freezing process doesn't kill bacteria.
Yeah, but if that's true. That's true. But if you buy, say, LRS food, now that's not made for human consumption. That could have made 10 years ago. You don't know how old that food is. if you go to, now I use clams too.
Right.
If I couldn't get worms, I would use clam. Now I know there's people in Tunisia and, you know, I can't help those people. I don't know what they could do. But people say they can't use my methods. I got these worms on Amazon, these white worms, about 15 years ago for $15. And they're growing like crazy. I mean, how cheap could you be? And they're in a little box. Anybody
Right.
can do that. And now I have them
Not everyone will do that.
I have them in a little cooler thing. But if I didn't have a cooler, I'd put them in one of them styrofoam coolers you get in the supermarket for $3. And every day you change the ice pack. They don't have to be frozen, but they got to be like 70 degrees or lower.
Just speaking for myself, my wife would not let me grow worms inside of our house. She would have a fit.
Well, they're not inside my house. They're in my workshop, which is my man cave. My wife don't come in here. She doesn't even know we got a fish tank.
Yeah, but you live in Long Island. I mean, here my workshop gets to be 90 degrees in the summer. It'll kill all the worms because the worms have to stay cool.
All right, Bobby, I'm going to tell you again. If you want a fish tank, you got to be able to take care of the fish. The fish don't care that you live in the panhandle of Florida. It's 100 degrees. You got to be able to have the stuff to take care of them.
Well, my point is there's more than one way to take care of them. It's not just right.
I agree with you. Quarantine works. A lot of people quarantine and they have great tanks. And if they tank lasts 10 years, they're happy. That's fine. Yeah. I didn't say there's anything wrong with that. I'm saying you could have the tank last longer for less work. I do nothing to this. I don't dose. I don't test. I don't do anything.
So you agree with me that quarantine works?
Yeah. Temporarily.
I won the debate, y'all.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Quarantine works temporarily. There's no old quarantine. Don't let me get my binoculars out again. There's no old quarantine tanks for a reason. Anybody? I don't know. What is it?
There's not any old quarantine tanks because people break the tanks down, but there are plenty of quarantine fish that are in people's display tanks that are 5, 10, 15 years old. I used to have fish that were, before Hurricane Katrina, I lost all my fish, but I had fish angels and tangs that were 10, 15 years old that were quarantined.
Well, you're the lucky one.
But I mean, I had a hurricane, lost power for 3 weeks, we had to evacuate.
I know we had Sandy. My power was out for a week. We get hurricanes. My power was out yesterday, 2 days ago. It goes out all the time. I went to Germany once on a riverboat cruise, and I had this girl. My book. I had this girl take care of my tank, and the automatic water. What do you call it? ATO.
Yeah.
That died. It didn't work. So for a week or 2 weeks, whatever, the water wasn't going in the tank. So the water level went down about 7 inches. All right. The tank was only about 14 inches high. The water went down 7 inches. So the water that was left was so salty. It was all the way over the thing on my swing on hydrometer. I couldn't even read it. It was so salty. Nothing died except for everything above where there was no water, of course, died. All my nice SPS corals and everything died because they were out of the water. None of the fish died. They couldn't get much more stressful than that. It was all salt in that tank. Nothing happened. Not one fish died.
But that happened slowly.
Right.
It did. But it was, you're talking about power outages and stuff like that. I mean.
Yeah, but you'll see people that will post sometimes and they're like, oh, my salinity is up. My specific gravity is up to 1.035. Oh my God, what do I do? The fish seem fine. I mean, if you change conditions slowly, the fish just adapt to it.
Bobby, I don't even know what the salinity is in here. I don't care. It's close. I hear noises.
Yeah, I fixed it. You're good.
Thank you.
There was another thing that happened. I used to have an urchin collecting business. I used to scuba dive for urchins in by Atlantic Beach someplace. And one day I caught 24 urchins, black sea urchins. And I couldn't put them all in my pool tank, so I put 24 of them in my reef. They all spawned at the same time, 24 urchins. The water looked like whipped cream. It was disgusting. And I couldn't even see through it to see if anything was alive. I was sure everything was dead. But I put a diatom filter on there and I cleaned it and cleaned it and cleaned it. And not one fish died. The water looked like milk. And that's a stressful event. Nothing died. And another thing he just told me, Bobby, remember I had that horrible sponge in here?
Oh, yeah. The one that yeah.
Oh, I stupidly put an encrusting photosynthetic sponge in here. and it took over the whole tank, covered my coral. That's why there's no SPS or anything in it. Covered my coral. Oh, I had those beautiful gorgonians. They were like 15, 20 years old. It covered them all and killed everything. So I decided I had to get rid of the sponge. I went in there and I cut out all the sponge encrusted corals and everything. And when you cut that stuff, there was like a milky stuff came out of them, and it poisoned all the brittle stars. The brittle stars all came to the top of the water and spawned. They spawned like crazy. I don't know if they liked it or they didn't. Maybe it's an aphrodisiac. I don't know what the hell it is. But it was killing corals and anemones and everything all over the place. I didn't lose one fish.
Do you have a picture of that sponge?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Can you send it to me?
If you go on my what do you call it? My thread?
It's on a thread. I'll find it while we're talking.
Looks Elise, you see that coral behind your head, that Montipora in this picture here?
Yep.
It looks just like that, except it's purple. If you look at any of my I can't put it on here now, but if you look at any of my old pictures from my tank from the last 10 years, you see that stuff all over the place. You think it's Montipora, but it's sponge.
So it's that plating sponge that's purple.
Yes.
Or
covered all my corals.
Yeah.
It completely covered the coral, and you could. It wasn't like you could just peel it off. It was like encased in the coral. You had to cut the coral off, and I threw out a lot of coral because I couldn't get rid of it. Now what I got growing in here, it looks like grass. It's some kind of cool algae. It might have came from the sound here. I don't know where it came from.
Oh, you know what kills that?
I don't want to kill it. I like it.
That sponge?
No, the sponge, nothing killed it.
Oh, ChemiClean will.
Paul won't do that.
No, I would never do that. ChemiClean.
It depends on how bad you want to get rid of that sponge.
No, I got rid of it. I don't do ChemiClean. I don't use this stuff either. What is this for you?
I don't know. Vibrant.
Vibrant.
Oh, is that?
Oh yeah, algaecide. No, thank you.
No, I don't use that either, and I don't even know what this is. I got these things here from the 70s. I don't know what this crap is.
Bobby left them that there when he was visiting your house.
Yeah, I left a bunch of medications. I figure someday he might need them.
He might have. I don't know.
If one too many fish jump out of the tank.
No. So what I was starting to say before, now we talked about the food, gotta have living bacteria. Not every day, a couple of times a week, black worms. That little I got a little long-nosed butterfly in there. He's small. He's about a.
But wait, let's back up. Okay. So worms, that's one way to get live gut bacteria. But we can say that, for example, if somebody wants to feed frozen, or somebody wants to feed like clams, mussels, scallops, things like that, they can get the live gut bacteria that way.
If they get them fresh. If you get them,
right.
I wouldn't use them from a fish store, from an aquarium store, because like I said, I don't know how long ago that thing was frozen. It could have been.
But if you live near the coast and you go near like seafood section, like most grocery stores have a seafood section. I mean,
yeah, or you could buy bait. If you got a place where you go fishing, they sell bait. They sell squid, they sell clams, they sell mussels. Worms, I think you can get anywhere. And when it rains, they roll over the street.
So what about baby brine shrimp? Those are easy to catch.
No, they're no good. No, because baby brine shrimp, you're raising yourself in a sterile tank, and they don't eat. They're absorbing the yolk sac. They have no gut bacteria. None. Zero.
Until but I thought they were healthier than like adult brine shrimp.
Well, adult brine shrimp are not that healthy, but they would have gut bacteria in them. Okay. Well, no, they probably don't, because you're raising them in a house and feeding them yeast or some crap. They won't have. Brine shrimp is no good for them.
I'm just trying to give people options. People that are listening to this.
Well, the option is clams, mussels, shellfish, snails. Everybody could get earthworms, and everybody can grow white worms. They're $12. You get a bunch of them. What
do you do in the winter, though? You can't get earthworms in the winter.
No, I grow my white worms in the winter. I can get earthworms in the winter anyway. Walmart sells them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you get it like
Walmart sells them $3. You get about 20 of them.
Oh yeah, for fishing and stuff, or any fishing stores. Yeah.
The best thing for most people could get is white worms, because they eat bread. You could put yogurt on them; they grow twice as fast.
Bingo. You know what? Greg Carroll is in the chat, and he feeds his tank with yeast.
Yeast?
Yep.
You can. It's a great thing for corals and stuff like that. I mean, the fish ain't going to eat it, but it's good for corals. It's one of the best foods for corals. There's a lot of vitamin B in there and everything, and I make bread myself all the time, and I eat it.
Oh, I believe it's Antheus eat yeast.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that, but everybody can get
Small mouth
white
feeder
worms.
like that.
Black worms are good too, but you can't raise them too good. You know, you got to buy them all the time and they're expensive. But white worms, you put them in some dirt, they live forever. And I
I
don't,
have 389 pages that I'm going through to find a picture of that purple sponge. You have
well, you got to, any picture you find that's more than like 2 years old of mine, you'll see it all over the place.
okay, 2 years old. Okay, I'll go back a
Yeah,
few
because I got rid
years.
of it about 2 years ago.
Lisa, I know what sponge he's talking about. I just, when he was first describing it, I wasn't sure which one he was talking about, but I do know which one he's
It's
talking
that
about.
plating crap.
Yep, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
It's terrible. But anyway, everybody can get white worms. If you're not getting white worms and you're not feeding the fish gut bacteria, then you got to quarantine and medicate. And when they get sick, you got to medicate them or something like that.
Let me just say this for quarantine. You know, everyone thinks quarantine, you know, they think copper, Pro. You don't have to do that. You know, there's some people that are like, you know what, I don't believe in really exposing fish to medications, you know, especially not prophylactically. You can set up you can actually, you know, create a mini version of your display tank if that's what you want to do. You can put the fish in there and you can just observe it. And you have, and if the fish start showing white spots, you have options. You don't have to use copper. So if it's ick, for example, you can use hyposalinity, which just drops the salinity down to a lower salinity.
I'm going to tell you again, Bobby. See here.
That's not a that's a non-chemical solution. There's another one called tank transfer method where you transfer the fish to a different tank every 72 hours. Non-chemical solution. So, you know, you don't have to use harmful, you know, chemicals if you don't want to.
There's a problem with that. Big problem. You're right. You don't have to use the stuff in quarantine like that. But the reason you're quarantining is to kill the parasites, right? You don't want the parasites in your tank. You're afraid of the parasites.
Well, okay, or there's a different option. You don't even have to do that. You can actually observe a fish. I know a guy that does this. He observes a fish in like a 30, 40-gallon tank. He runs a UV sterilizer, and what he does, he uses that to get the parasites under control, doesn't completely eliminate them, get the parasites under control to like a sublethal concentration. And once the fish has been, you know, he feeds the fish well for a couple of weeks. And then once he feels the fish has been built up, then he moves the fish to his display tank. Because all of these fish arrive to us stressed.
Is he successful?
Yeah, it's fairly
There's
successful.
a reason why he's successful. You see what you said? He doesn't kill all the parasites.
But he also has ozone running on his DT. So he's
But
killing
that's not going to kill all the parasites either. That's
So Greg in chat says he thinks that this discussion is proof positive that there are multiple paths to success.
well, we always said that. I'm not saying that quarantine is bad. I'm saying your fish are not immune to anything. So if you put a parasite in there, you're going to kill them all.
I'm not saying Paul's method is bad, but what I'm saying is if you try his method and you kill, all you're doing is killing fish, then don't keep doing it. Look into other options.
Of course. If you're doing my method, well, first of all, if you're doing that, you're doing my method wrong.
Like, and the same thing too. Look, if you're quarantining and all you're doing is killing fish in quarantine and that's just not for you, then look into other options.
There's my sponge in there.
There you go.
Yeah. But I mean, the one thing you can agree upon is that buying and shipping fish is stressful on the fish.
Very stressful.
If you would first put them in not a quarantine, but an observation tank, and just let them adjust, start accepting food, start eating without being bullied by other fish. You can observe them. If they have a problem, you could deal with that. If not, then you could maybe move them to an acclimation box into the tank and transition them, because I think the transition is the biggest part.
Right.
That fish I got yesterday.
The fish are caught. Okay, fish are caught. They go to a collection station and they're not fed at all because they don't want to feed the fish, because they don't want the fish to produce waste in the bag, because they ship them with like that much water in the bag. Most fish go directly to a wholesaler. I can tell you right now, most wholesalers, unless it's a VIP fisher section, the fish are fed flake and pellets. Most new fish are not going to eat flake or pellets, right? So by the time you get the fish, you know, after it goes to the local fish store, you buy online, it's been at least a week, if not longer, since that fish last ate. The fish has probably been exposed to ammonia at some point, usually in the bag water, point is the fish is in rough shape. So instead of just taking that fish, putting it in your display tank with all these other healthy, aggressive fish that really don't want it to be there because it's competition, put the fish in something, an observation tank, whatever you want to do, build that fish back up, feed it well, build it back up before you put it in your display tank. That's one of my big things. Don't just take a newly arrived fish, put it in your display tank and think
I
that it's
disagree with that.
going to work itself out.
I disagree with that.
Well, your fish, so when you add
Totally.
a fish, when you add a new fish to your DT, your other fish don't attack it?
No, never.
I do.
I added one yesterday, right?
Well, that's like a little goby blenny thing. I'm talking about a real fish, like a tang, an angel. So if you have a tank full of tangs and angels and like what most people keep, these are aggressive fish. And when you put a new fish in the tank, they're not happy about it because you now have,
Bobby, I used to have tank like, a lot of us started with predator tanks with lionfish and eels and all that and triggerfish and all that.
Healthy fish are aggressive. They are aggressive. They don't want competition, and they will attack other fish.
You see what you said? You said before, which I disagree with. Take the fish that's been right. We have no control over the collection of the fish, and the wholesalers. That's the fish are stressed like hell. We have no control over that. That's why my tank is like the ocean. The fish think they're like the ocean. So I take the fish out of the stressful environment and throw them in there. And there's never any aggression. I mean, not never. Sometimes they'll go after something. I mean, the tank is 50 years old. But 99% of the time, I throw the fish in there. He might hide for a day, and then he'll come out and eat, and nothing will bother him. But he's going into a natural tank. He thinks he's in the ocean. Those fish think they're in the ocean. They're not hiding. They're not doing anything.
Not in the ocean. Trust me.
They're in the ocean. Most of that rock is in the ocean.
Paul, when you pick up your fish, do you look for any signs in fish, or do you do observation or anything like that?
No.
I
mean, if it's in the store, I mean, if the fish is obviously dying, I'm not going to buy it. That's the only thing you can see on a fish is spots. But, from experience, I can, like yesterday, we saw a fish and I kind of liked it. I think it was not a neon goby, it was cheap fish in Petco. And as soon as I seen it was something wrong with his spine was a little bent. He wasn't swimming exactly right. I'm not going to buy that fish. I don't care if he gives it to me for nothing. Okay. So I bought another fish from the same tank. I don't care. If I see fish in the tank with ick, I'll still buy the fish because the ick doesn't bother me. It goes away. That's the only observation I do. I won't buy a fish that's, of course, half dead because I'm wasting my money. That thing will probably die. And you can only see spots. You don't know what's going on inside the fish. The thing could have tuberculosis or, I don't know what the hell it is.
Hey, Paul, I look for fish that are half dead because I like the challenge.
Well, if I get a fish that's got parasites on it, I think it's going to raise the immunity in my tank. And it does. But anyway, the other thing, we talked about the bacteria in the food. So if you say you're doing my method and you're not feeding some kind of worms or fresh clams a couple of times a week, you're not using my method. If you don't have the tank set up where the fish have tight hiding places, not flower pots and shot glasses and PVC elbows, tight hiding places where the fish could just barely get in. If you go scuba diving and you dive over a coral reef, instantly all the fish jump into the coral. They don't get scratched and they never back out. They go right in, but they know that in that spot they're going, they also have another way out. They can swim forward out because they don't back up worth the shit.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you feel that I know you have an undergravel filter in your tank. Is that a requirement? Do you have to have an undergravel?
I don't think that does anything.
You don't think
I just think that's easier to keep the gravel clean. I don't think it does anything. And I have to use my diatom filter once or twice a year to stir it up because it gets all clogged with crap. I don't know if I never had a tank without an undergravel filter, so I couldn't say. But the gravel in there is big. It's like rice. You've seen it. Mm-hmm. But people dismiss that with the hiding places. You see a new tank and they got a big cave in the middle and they tell me that's a hiding place. It's not a hiding place. You got to have hiding places where the fish can't see you. Unless you look like Angelina Jolie.
I got a quick question. Do you attach that diatom filter to your undergravel filter?
No.
I think he just uses it kind of as is, and he just uses it sort of as needed when the tank gets really cloudy, right? Or when you're doing like a big cleanup. Is that right?
What happens is when I used to when I used to collect the seawater behind the house here, I used to throw a pump in the water, like in the surf, and pump the water in a bucket. Now I don't live in Florida. In New York, here the water is full of seaweed. So when you pump this water into the tank, it's covered in chopped up seaweed. You got to filter it. You can't put it in like, and plus it's all mud. You can't see a foot through it. Me and him scuba dove for 50 years. Our visibility was like 18 inches. This water is not clear, so I try to get the mud out of it. But I take some of that mud and throw it in the tank because I like the bacteria. But you can make one of these for $100. They're very simple to make, and no, I don't sell them. I used one today. I got a lot of cyano and crap in there, so I like to stir it up once in a while.
So how do you attach that to your tank? You just set it in and let it run, or does it hang on the back, or how? Hold it up again so people can see it, because you flash it really quickly.
I have two of them. This is my small one. This is the small one. You see that?
Yeah.
Got a pump down here and a little canister. This is a 5-micron filter in here. I also have.
So do you coat that with diatomaceous earth, or you just use a 5-micron filter?
I just use the 5-micron filter, and I also have a 1-micron filter if I went crazy. I never used this. I have another one of these bigger over there with one of them cartridge filters in it, like you have in your house, you know. And that's I think that's a 5-micron. I used to coat it with diatom powder. I found out I don't have to.
So when you use a 5-micron filter, you know you're filtering out parasites. Because that's fine enough that the parasites get trapped in the filter.
Yeah, I'm only using it a couple of times a year. How many parasites am I filtering out?
Oh, it depends how long you're running for. Well, I'm just saying, whenever you
Usually
do
about 15 minutes. Because that's another thing. I think live rock is very porous, and in the ocean you have typhoons. I was in Jamaica once right after a typhoon. I think it was Jamaica, and they had what do you call those fan corals? Those.
No, the sea fans.
Sea fans. They were like 100 feet up the side of the mountain, along with a big sailboat. You can't believe the amount of turbulence under the water in a hurricane or a typhoon. And that cleans out the pores in the rocks and everything. We don't have that in a fish tank. So, and especially if the tank is 50 years old, the rocks get clogged. So I use, hold that thought.
What I do is I use, those old power heads that have that focus nozzle. You just blow out your rocks with that.
Yeah.
I put this thing on the end of the diatom, the blowing end, and I squash the end a little bit so it comes out like a power washer. And I stick this in there and I blow the detritus out of the rock. You'd be amazed at the crap that comes out of the rocks, because you want them rocks to be porous. My rocks, a lot of them are actually hollow because I made a lot of them. I made them out of PVC with cement coating on top. Probably half the rocks in there are hollow PVC that I made, because I like them better than the rocks I collected. A lot of the rocks I collected in Hawaii and the Caribbean and everything, but my rocks look better.
Yeah, I would agree that's blowing the detritus out of the live rock is a really good practice.
Yeah, and after you blow it out, you got to suck it out somehow. So I use that 5-micron thing. I used to use the powder, but I don't have to use it anymore because that filter is good enough. And using that a couple of times a year I don't think it's going to do anything to any parasites. And if that's the key, do that. If you think it's going to be,
you're periodically reducing the parasite load in your tank.
I don't want to reduce the parasites in the tank.
Well, you are doing it though by using the diatom filter. Whether you realize,
yes, if you think that's fine.
But I'm just saying that's just one of the little things that you do, which may contribute to, your success.
Well, I want parasites in my tank. The more parasites, the better. That's the thing I posted on your thing. The fish with the most parasites are the healthiest.
Are you running ozone on the tank?
There is ozone on there. There's about half as much as I should be using. If it even works, I don't even know if it's working.
So the
ozone is for the water conditions. It has nothing to do with parasites. There's not enough ozone in there to kill a parasite.
But the ozone is an oxidizer which kills parasites.
Not in the strength I got it in there. The ozone is for the water conditions. It destroys some of the stuff that makes the water yellow and everything. And it was off for 2 years. When I moved here, the thing was off for 2 years. It didn't do anything. I don't even think it's working. As a matter of fact, it's probably clogged. I never serviced the stupid thing. I don't even know why I got it. but it's only like 50 milligrams of ozone. On a tank like that, you probably should have 400 if you want to kill parasites. There's nothing on there. But I want parasites. I don't want to kill parasites. That fish I bought yesterday from Petco was probably loaded with parasites. I don't care. I like parasites. Like I said, the fish with the most parasites are the healthiest because that means they have the healthiest immune system and the parasites are not bothering them. They're eating parasites in the sea with every meal. Where do you think those parasites are going? They're not hurting the fish. And the fish has to eat the parasites to get immune to the parasites. Did you get a flu shot or a COVID shot or a measles shot?
Wait, so you're saying the fish that are physically showing signs of parasites are the healthiest ones?
I didn't say that. I said the fish that have parasites on them. They don't have to show. Parasites are kind of microscopic. And some of them are in their gills. You won't see them. But there's a lot of parasites inside the fish in their stomach because everything they eat in the sea is full of parasites, right? Every fish in the sea eats other fish.
Well, there's different, some parasites attack a fish externally and some internally. So they're not
parasites you see on the scales of the fish are not doing anything. Here's a fish scale here. See this thing here? This is like a fish scale. It's steel. Parasites ain't getting through that.
Where do you come up with all these props?
The parasites you got on the side of your fish ain't doing nothing. They're just hanging out. They're not hurting the fish at all. They're not getting through the scales.
They're not eating the fish.
They're not eating anything. They're just hanging out like you're doing.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If they're not doing anything, why would the parasites attach to the fish in the first place?
Because they're looking to get into their gills. They have to sit someplace, all right? They get tired of swimming. I don't know what the hell they're doing. If the fish is not in the gills, if the parasite's not in the gills, it's not hurting the fish. The ones you see on the skin is not doing anything. It's just that there's so many parasites in the tank that they can't fit on the gills anymore. So they're free swimming all over the place, looking for a place to settle down.
Well, I agree with this.
Because they're on the gills.
The parasites that enter the gills are the most dangerous because it basically it clogs their breathing.
Yes, it does.
But the
fish is immune.
The parasites that are actually a parasite that is on like on skin, scales, whatever, is actually eating, like that's how they get their nutrients. They're eating you.
They're trying. They're not doing anything. They're not getting through them scales. They're not. The ones in the gills are killing the fish because, like you said, it stops the oxygen flow. But a fish has slime all the way down its throat and all the way in its gills. And that slime is repelling the parasites. That's why there's no fish dying in that tank, because of the slime coat, and the slime coat comes from the worms. Well, the slime coat don't come from the worms, but the anti-parasitic properties in the slime comes from the gut bacteria. If you got no gut bacteria, you got no immunity. Even you, with the crap that you eat, them freaking crawdads and shit that you eat.
Hey, crawdads are good.
Crawdads are good.
Shrimp.
Even we live on gut bacteria. If we didn't have gut bacteria, we're going to die. You ever see a cancer patient when they put them in radiation and they kill all their bacteria? Those people look horrible. And if you sneeze on them, they're going to die. There's a reason for that. They have no immunity. Immunity comes from gut bacteria. And then after they come out of the chemo, and if they're still alive, they gradually give them food with gut bacteria in it. Salads and shrimp, clams, whatever the hell you eat has gut bacteria in it, and you gradually build it. We get our gut bacteria from our mother. When we're born, we have gut bacteria. If you're naturally born, if you're cesarean, you don't have any gut bacteria, then you have a problem. Really, that's how you get gut bacteria. In the birth canal, the babies get gut bacteria. If you're a cesarean born, they have no gut bacteria, so they have to do other things to those babies.
So do you believe that fish can be immunocompromised, just like people can be?
Yeah.
So what happens to those fish?
They probably die.
Or if they're quarantined, maybe not. I'm just saying.
If they're quarantined, they're immunocompromised.
Just like people have different levels of an immune system, some of us have a really strong, healthy immune system, and some don't, and some are somewhere in the middle. I think fish are probably the same way. Some just have a very healthy immune system, and some don't, and some are, somewhere in the middle.
Well, fish in the sea are very healthy. I'm scuba diving. I spent 300 hours underwater. I have never seen a fish in the sea with parasites. He never seen one either. He dove more than me. I've never seen a fish with parasites. On these fish sites, all you see is parasites on the fish. There's a reason for that. And the fish in the sea look much healthier than most fish in the tanks. It takes a good eye to see it.
Well,
I got a hippo tang. There's a hippo tang in there. And he's the healthiest one I've ever seen. Never seen a piece of seaweed.
The fish you're seeing in the ocean are the survivors. They're the, survival of the fish.
No. The fish in the ocean,
They all live. You think all the fish in the ocean, they all live, none die.
No, I didn't say none of them died. They're not dying of parasites. They might have a swim bladder thing. Most of the fish are eaten in the ocean,
So you're saying that no fish in the ocean die due to parasites?
That's what I'm saying.
Unless it's from runoff.
Unless the fish is bitten in half, his tail is bitten off, or
There's some runoff.
or there's runoff from a sewage treatment plant, something like that. But normally, if the fish is in clean water, like behind you there, none of them die of parasites. None.
For example, all the sawfish that were dying in the Keys because of what they call it, the circle, they were circling around with that disease.
Yeah.
And they found out it was because of, they
Be right
feel
with
it
you.
was from the sewage treatment.
He was telling me about the sawfish that all died in Florida because it was from the sewage
Last
treatment
year.
plant. But that's not parasites.
They had that circling disease.
They had the circling disease.
Well, they'll also have in Florida, it's a big thing. They'll have Vibrio outbreaks, and you'll have like thousands of fish wash up.
Yeah, we over here we get millions of bunker, menhaden that die, and you can't go near the beaches. It's disgusting. It stinks like hell. But they die because of low oxygen. They go into these little harbors and stuff, and there's millions and millions of fish, and then they get this algae. What do you call that stuff? That red algae that takes all the oxygen.
Red tide.
That red tide.
And then it's actually like a cyanobacteria, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but fish in the ocean on a coral reef or something, I would venture to say that none of them ever die from parasites unless they like something happened, they got bitten or something like that. It can't happen because they're immune. Like my fish are. My fish can't die of parasites. They're immune. It's not going to happen. Bobby, if they didn't die in 55 years, they ain't dying today.
But some of your fish do die, Paul.
They all die, but not from parasites.
Okay.
They all die.
That you know of.
No.
Well, what happens is they jump out. They
jump out. They get bullied. Sometimes I buy something I can't feed correctly. I screw up like that.
Well, the fish do die. Some of your fish do die. What you have is
they all die.
You have a lot of fish that are older, that are sort of like the survivors, that have survived in your tank over the decades.
Yeah, there's 35 years old fish in there.
But how many fish have died? So I'm just saying, you have all these fish that are made it to 30, 40 years, whatever. How many fish have died in that same time span?
All of them.
Are we talking about
Bobby, most of the fish I keep, I have a lot of small fish in there because I like small fish the way I am. I used to have big fish, tangs and all that nonsense. I don't like them anymore. I like interesting small fish. Those small fish only have a lifespan of 5 or 10 years, 5, 6, 8 years, something like that. I have a couple of, what's his name on your site gave me, 2 little blue striped pipefish. The damn things only live about 5 years. That's their lifespan. I got a couple of Banggai cardinals in there. They got the shortest lifespan of any fish. 3.5 years, 4 years. That's their lifespan. So if you can get 5 years out of them, that's great. That's the shortest lived fish we have. Pipefish, they only live, my last Jan's pipefish lived 7 years. That's almost a record. You can't expect the fish to live longer than its lifespan. That's like a human living 150 years. It's not going to happen. And you know why it doesn't happen? Because the telomeres on the end of their genes here. That's why. That's what controls our lifespan, those things.
And some of your fish just disappeared.
And some of my fish disappeared. I found one the other day underneath the tank. The telomeres on the end of these things here controls every living thing's lifespan. When these things get shorter, every time they reproduce, they get shorter. And when there's no more of them, this thing falls apart and you die. That's why we die of old age. That's called old age. Fish have the same thing. And if you quarantine them or stress the hell out of them, it shortens those things and they have a shorter lifespan. I didn't make it up.
Do you have any proof of that?
Yes, I posted articles on your site there, scientific articles. The only proof I could have is scientific articles. I'm not a scientist. I'm a freaking electrician.
But you're talking scientific articles. There are scientific articles that say when they collect fish, like say in the Great Barrier Reef, 70–80% of them have parasites.
I'd say all of them have parasites. They're full of shit. All of them have parasites. They're supposed to have parasites. Everything should have parasites.
But you're saying that none of those parasites ever kill the fish in the ocean?
Well, I didn't see every single fish in the ocean, but I spent more time underwater than most people, and I have never seen a parasite on it. I mean, once in a while you'll see a big parasite, like a isopod or one of those. Yeah, I'm talking about ick. I've never seen ick or velvet or any of that crap in the ocean. Not once in 40 years of scuba diving.
Not even the fuzzy stuff, you know, when they get cut.
Not even that fuzzy stuff when they cut that bacterial infection. Never in the ocean. They're fish because the fish are immune because they're eating bacteria with every meal, which they're not doing in a quarantine tank. You can't feed quarantined fish live earthworms and live blackworms and live shrimp, and you can't feed them because they got parasites on them.
Wait a minute, you can't feed quarantined fish worms?
Well, you could feed them worms, I guess. You can't feed them clams because clams have a lot of parasites in them.
No, I've quarantined Moorish idols and butterfly fish, and I feed them clams in quarantine. They eat them.
You got to feed them frozen clams, otherwise they get parasites in them.
Well, there's the thing. There's the thing. You can freeze anything, but freezing doesn't kill bacteria or viruses.
It'll kill parasites.
Right.
Quarantine don't kill bacteria either. You could quarantine the fish all you want. It's not going to kill the bacteria. Bacteria lives forever.
Antibiotics will. Not all. There's no way to kill, like, I agree with that. There's no way to kill every single strain of bacteria. However, if you have bacteria that's causing a problem, you can use something like Cipro or something will usually work to.
But if you kill the gut bacteria at the same time, you're killing the fish.
But you're not completely killing the gut bacteria. You're not getting it back. But
if you do it long enough, you will.
I don't think you can completely 100% kill all gut bacteria. I think you can knock gut bacteria back, but
that's not a good thing to do.
Maybe I need to start feeding my fish in quarantine yogurt or something.
Yogurt? That would make a mess.
Probiotics.
Yeah, there you go. Probiotics.
My fish are eating a lot of yogurt because I'm feeding the worms yogurt. And not yogurt.
So there you go. Right.
Yogurt. I'm feeding my worms yogurt.
Right. So what he said at that point, if you're really concerned that, look, the fish are in medication and copper or whatever, and you're killing the gut bacteria, you can then lace the fish food with probiotics to put that beneficial bacteria back into their diet. Right?
No, I didn't say that.
Someone else said that, I think. Basically.
Someone else said. I didn't say that because probiotics is good bacteria, which is nice. I take it myself. But to get the fish immune, you also need the bad bacteria. Otherwise, the fish will not be immune to bad things. Did you get a flu shot, COVID shot, measles shot, chickenpox shot? You get shots for everything. That's to keep the bacteria or the parasites or whatever you're getting the shot for alive in your system. That keeps you immune from it. And if you have parasites living along the fish in the tank, they stay immune to parasites. Hence the tank behind me. How many times I got to say that? Anybody got any questions? Because, wait a minute, he's getting me annoyed now.
I do think that the longer you're in the hobby and the longer your tank is established, the more there's the more biodiversity that you have and the more exposure that your animals get to things.
Yes.
And the thing is like when you have new systems, you don't know what's missing out of your system that you need.
So for example, it's an excellent point. So for example, there are certain strains of bacteria that we'll just use it as an example. It falls off the fish and it insists in a tank, it would insist on rock or sand or something like that. There are strains of bacteria, they don't know exactly which strains yet, that actually feed on the tomotes. So the tomont stage is we'll say at the egg stage of ick and velvet, it actually eats and damages and preys upon these ick and velvet tomotes. You're not going to have that in probably a newly set up tank. Now, a tank that's 50 something years old, yeah, you probably have more than likely that strain of bacteria in your aquarium, and that's aiding you in not having to quarantine, aiding you, because what you're doing is you're not eliminating all the parasites, but you're keeping the parasite load under control.
Right. And what did I say about a new tank? It's not healthy. I don't care who sets it up, what you do to it. It's not healthy. It's probably going to crash and drive you crazy. You could quarantine the new fish if you want, whatever you want to do. They're probably going to die on you anyway. There's so many problems with new tanks. And I don't know why this hobby's been around for 55 years. And there's so many threads about people starting a new tank. Why are they starting new tanks? What happened to the old tank?
Agree.
Why is so many people there's so many threads about I'm starting a new tank tomorrow. What'd you do with the old tank? What, did it crash? What happened? break.
Get out for one
The
reason.
tank should last forever.
Some people really just want to upgrade or do different things, or they don't like the aquascape.
Well, yeah,
It's just kind
I
of
upgraded. Alicia, I upgraded three or four times. I started this tank here in 71. It was in I think a 40-gallon tank. And then I moved and I got a bigger house and I took everything out of that tank and I put it in another tank. It's still the same stuff. It's the same rocks and gravel and water and fish, but it's in a bigger, it's like if you paint your car, it's the same car.
Yeah, you're not completely starting over.
No,
yeah.
and then now the tank was in the other house for 40 years. It got all scratched and everything. That was a 100-gallon tank. And when I moved here, I bought 125 on the way. I put everything in vats and stuff, and I threw it in here. The same gravel, the same water, fish, everything is in here. This is a 125-gallon tank. I'm considering it the same tank because everything in it is the same. The glass is different because if you have the glass for 55 years, it's going to be all scratched. So you got to change it. But it's the same tank. It was set up in 1971. The same rocks are in there, the gravel, everything is in there from 1971. Yeah, I added more because it's bigger. But you're right, a new tank is not going to be helpful. So anyway, to get back to my method that people think it's so hard, it's not. It's rock, not a new tank. A brand new tank is going to be a problem.
So they'd have to buy rock. They'd have to buy 100% all live rock to have a shot.
Yeah, but it's not. You can't buy rock that looks like bowling balls. You got to buy rock with all protrusions on. In this tank is 6 feet long. These fish could go from one side of the tank to the other underneath the rocks, and you'd never see them. This fish I have in there sometimes for 18 months, and I never see them. I mean, you might want to see them, but that's not healthy. The fish don't want to see you.
So you need like porous rock.
Fish in the back of this tank, red fish, that I don't know where the hell they came from, and I've never seen them before. If I go back there with a flashlight, I see him. He's happy and healthy.
Fish that you want to see.
And fish that I want to see that I never see in here. You might not like that. People want to see the fish, but they're not healthy if you could see them. They want to get into a spot where you can't see them. There's 50 fish in there. How many do you see now? 7? There's about 50 fish in there. But they got hiding places where they go in. They come out, they go in, they come out. Because now I have the lights on and we're walking around, a lot of them are hiding. But that's what healthy fish do. They want to get out of sight. I see these fish in these people's living rooms, these tanks, they got a rock in the middle of the tank and the fish are swimming around. They think that's healthy. Beautiful, but it's not healthy. And that's a big part of my system. There's about 5 different parts of my method, and having tight, irregular hiding places, not PVC elbows, not flower pots, not bricks, tight, natural hiding places where they could go in one side of the tank and come out the other and never be seen. This tank here, this whole tank, almost none of it is touching the gravel. It's only touching the gravel in about 4 or 5 places. That whole rock structure is lifted up off the gravel a couple of inches, and they could go underneath the gravel, underneath the rocks, all over the place. That's what makes healthy fish. So besides the food, you got to have that. And I can guarantee you, everybody who says they used my system didn't do that. And they didn't feed the food with the live bacteria.
How do you feed your worms? Do you rinse them off, or you just throw them with the dirt?
You're getting rid of the good stuff if you rinse them off. What are you kidding me? No, you take them out of the dirt and you throw them right in.
With the dirt? That's where your bacteria is coming from.
Wait a minute. Yeah. They're in there.
He just throws them in there.
It's a bucket
I
of dirt.
know.
I throw them in with the dirt and everything. As a matter of fact, I could throw the dirt in there without the worms if I wanted. It's good bacteria. I got to keep them covered because they crawl out on my workbench.
Hey, it's actually good. I mean, hey, look, that part of it, that's a good idea. I think people should, there's nothing wrong with feeding worms. If your fish will eat worms, not all fish will eat worms, but if you're...
The problem with my fish is they can't eat whole worms because the worms are like 3 inches long and I got a lot of little fish. So I chop them up in little pieces and throw them in there. You know what eats worms? They haven't eaten in a couple of months. The wasp fish. I got a couple of them wasp fish in there. They stopped eating a couple of months ago. But all my yellow clown gobies disappeared. So those fish are fat. I think they eat the clown gobies. They used to eat earthworms, but now I haven't seen them eat anything. But they're still fat. So I think
are white worms like thicker than black worms? I think a little bit, huh?
A little bit, I think. Yeah, I think a little bit.
So,
black worms I can't get black worms here, but
it's hard. So you have to some people you can ask I think Seagrass Farms is the primary wholesaler that sells them. But if you've got a local fish store that orders from Seagrass, you can ask them to order in black worms and they might do it. I know
You get
any,
black worms, but white worms last forever and you don't have to keep buying them. Black worms, you
but
can't.
black worms are just easier to get and you just stick them in the refrigerator, you
Hold
know?
up to it. I'm gonna get my worms.
Who is it? Somebody said here, Eastern Aquatics.
As
Has-
black worms, Lacey.
Yeah. Yeah, black worms are great. I used to keep them in the refrigerator. Any local fish store that sells discus will have live black worms usually because discus really like to eat live black worms. But
See the worms in there? See the white worms in there?
there you go.
Mm,
Those are a little
right. Are they eating bread?
They're eating bread and they're eating bread and yogurt.
so
See this thing here with all the worms on there? It's like a screen. See the worms on there?
Mm-hmm.
there you go.
Sometimes I just take this whole thing with the mud and everything and throw it in the tank. That screen, that filthy screen.
So
And they just suck the
Lisa,
worms right off of there.
you need to start growing worms in your house somewhere and feeding your tank worms, white worms.
Yep. If you want to get a 50-year-old tank, you do.
So I feel like Paul's approach is really about natural
What
because
happened?
your approach to reefing is very natural way, live food, because you've dived so many times, you know what the natural reef look like, you know the habitat, you know
Yeah. Don't forget. Sorry to cut you off there. I have a habit.
No.
I have a
Keep
habit.
going.
Don't forget, Humble tells me my ways are unconventional. All your ways are unconventional. My ways are the original ways. You know, I was here when the hobby started. That was the original ways. Then they started with the internet and screwed everything up. This quarantine and all this medication, all that crap, that came from the internet. That wasn't my way. We didn't have medications. But the natural fish live in dirt. Behind my house here, the Long Island Sound is nothing but it's made out of mud. The visibility is this far. It's all mud. Really healthy fish in there. I caught 70 porgies last week and we ate them. They were really healthy looking. I put pictures on his site there. We got to get out of the idea that dirt and bacteria and parasites is bad. It's good. That's why if it wasn't good, this tank wouldn't exist. You know, the sterile tank, fish don't want to be sterile. They want to be dirty. That's what fish do. And they want to eat worms with dirt on them. When fish eat other fish in the sea, like I said, they all have parasites, and the fish eat the parasites. The parasites are processed in the fish's kidney, unlike us. Our kidney is used for something else, making kidney stones. But the fish's kidney, they call it a head kidney. The fish's kidney takes up almost the whole length of the fish. It starts in his head and goes almost all the way to his tail. They call it a head kidney. And that's what processes the parasites and everything in the fish. It works different than us. And while the parasites are in the kidney from eating the fish, the immune system gets its information from those parasites, and it knows what kind of immunity to give to the fish to process the parasites that it's eating and the ones in its gills and every place else. But the fish has to have parasites in it to know what to make antibodies for. Just like you, if you're never exposed to the flu and somebody sneezes on you with the flu, you're going to get the flu.
Yeah.
But if you're in a place that has the flu all the time, it's not going to bother you. I rode the New York City subway system for 40 years. That's the filthiest place in the world. The handrails they got a 1/4 inch of hand grease on them. It's a disgusting place. I never got sick. I don't think I took 2 days off work in 40 years. I never got sick, and the place is filthy because I was used to it. When Columbus's friends came over here from Italy or Spain, they came from Spain, I think. They killed all the Indians, not with their spears. They killed all the Indians by sneezing on them, and they gave them all smallpox because the Indians here didn't have smallpox. But eventually, the Indians were living with smallpox, and now the Indians are still living there because they're immune because those smallpox germs are all over the place. And that's my theory with fish. If you keep the fish in the same conditions as the ocean, which means surrounded by parasites, they'll live forever and never have a problem with parasites because the fish's kidney makes the immunity that the fish has, but they need the gut bacteria to do that. It's very simple. You get the healthy fish, you throw them in there, they live forever.
So
If we compare it to humanity, I mean, we develop vaccines and stuff, right? We do some, let's call it a protocol when you get vaccinated for certain things. And I think it makes things better. So isn't that quarantine is kind of, can be looked at the same way?
Quarantine is the opposite of that. quarantine, you don't want to put the pathogens into the fish. With vaccines, we're putting the pathogens in us. If we get a shot for chicken pox or something, you're putting a weakened chicken pox virus or bacteria in you. And that lets your immune system know what to protect you from. If a fish never has any exposure to parasites, it's not protected from parasites. And as soon as a parasite gets in there, like on a coral or a rock or something, it's going to kill the whole tank because nothing has immunity.
But hold on, he's taking what applies to viruses because the virus.
Yeah, I understand.
Right. He's trying to apply it to everything.
Viruses and parasites do the same thing. We're immune. We have immunity to parasites and virus. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you an example here. You know what? I have to put on my.
That has been so great, Paul. You're amazing.
Okay. Remember the bubonic plague? Well, you don't remember it, but you know about the bubonic plague. It killed a third of the people in Europe. Bubonic plague, a lot of it was actually a virus. They thought it was a bacteria on the rats that came from China. Well, a lot of it was a virus. Anyway, doesn't matter. A third of Europe died. The descendants of those people today are immune to AIDS. You know that? AIDS that kills all these people. The descendants, the few people that lived in Europe, their ancestors today are immune to AIDS.
Where did you read that?
But I took a class on that, actually.
Wow.
It's weird. And they thought it was bacteria at first. But now everybody was dying. It's very interesting because all the people in those towns were dying, and and as the people died off, they gave their belongings to their next of kin and everything. When the next of kin was dead, they gave the belongings to the church. When the priest died, whoever was left in that town inherited all the money from everybody in that town because they were the only one left. Those are the millionaires today in Europe. Those few people that survived the bubonic plague inherited all that money from all those people, and those are the millionaires and billionaires in Europe today.
And they won't catch AIDS.
And they won't catch AIDS because they're immune to it. And they thought originally it was bacteria, but it was most of it was a virus because they found out. Even the Pope ran away. He thought he was immune, but he wasn't. Pope ran to France. But yeah, stupid idiot. But they originally thought it was a bacteria, but then they realized that people would live in like France or something like that, and then they would run to England, and the disease went there too. It went there really fast, and they said the rats can't run that fast for the bacteria to get there. They had to go across the English Channel and everything. So they realized it was a virus because a virus could go into your system, and people would sneeze on somebody else in France and everything. Anyway, that's my little bubonic plague lesson. I didn't go to college. I'm very proud of that.
Where's your gangster hat? The hat you wear, you'll take pictures sometimes. You know, you're kind of like in that, like you look like Al Capone.
Oh, I didn't bring that down. Yeah, that's.
So I do want to kind of summarize like why we brought the two of you in here. I mean, there's you both have valid reasons, and there's aspects of your argument that is solid, and everybody can benefit. But the also that I wanted to reiterate to Paul is I know that he doesn't need to conform to social media, and he doesn't need more friends, but people in this hobby need to hear his voice, and we would implore him to get a Facebook page and be active on our group, because there's a lot of people that respond to you very well in our group, and that's why we keep bringing you on, because we can't get you on any other ways. But
you see this book here? 100% of this goes to MS research. I don't keep a nickel of this.
Yeah, but we also want you, Paul.
Yeah, and this
one of my favorite book.
This book here, 100% of the profits goes to Wounded Warriors and Tunnels to Towers.
I've read them both. They're both good books.
Your second book came out too?
Hmm?
Yeah.
Oh, I need to get that one.
This is about my time in Vietnam. Is my picture on here?
Yep.
What a stud, huh? Yeah, Humble read it. As a matter of fact, his wife put a review on the whatever it was. Amazon. Get my book. I'd send you one, but I have to pay the same thing for the books that you do. I don't make a nickel on those books. Matter of fact, I should write another fish book because that one is old.
Mine is signed by Paul too.
Did I send you that?
Yeah, I sent it to you. Send it back to me. You signed
Oh,
it
that's
for
my
me.
fish book. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Did you read it?
a few times actually.
Well, then you don't have to interview me. You could just read it. Actually, a lot of this stuff is I learned since that book, like about the cortisol and all of that is probably not in that book. That my wife has MS, so we go to a lot of these neurology. I don't know. You don't call them classes.
Appointments, classes.
Seminars. You know, we go with the neurologists. They're friends of ours, and you go there and they talk about the new things and everything, and they talk about this, chromosomes and all of that, and that's how I learn about that stuff. But people in the hobby, there's a few things that they fail that's really, really important. Like gut bacteria is probably the most important thing, and very few people feed live stuff. And to de-stress the fish with the hiding places, like I said, tight hiding places that a moray eel can't get next to the fish to eat it because that's what the fish are worried about, moray eels and sharks and things. And if you scuba dive, you see that. The fish jump into these holes and you can't see the fish. And then they have a way to get out. You have to have not just holes, you have to have passageway. That's what it is.
Just one fish.
Schools of fish, they jump right into the hole. You need passageways, not a hiding place. I make a mistake by saying hiding place. You need a passageway. They go in and they hide, and then they can get out. Like if a fish comes and bites their tail, they could go through and get out. That tank there, they could go back and forth through that tank, and I never see them. Right now I see 3 fish. There's 50 fish in there. And that's what makes them healthy. The gut bacteria, the fact that they could hide. And what was the other thing I forgot? I don't know. And it's much simpler than quarantining with medication and all of that. I just go buy a fish and throw it in there. What's so hard about that?
What's your final thoughts, Bobby?
It's been entertaining. I'm just saying, like, I don't know, like, it works for Paul. That's great. I could probably
for everybody.
I could probably do it myself if I really wanted to go through all that. But for me, it's just easier just to, actually, I kind of do both, right? So
it's not easier, Bobby.
I quarantine the fish because I guess just for me, quarantining is not that difficult and I'm pretty good at it. So I quarantine the fish. And then when I put the fish in the DT, I use Paul's methods. Once the fish is in the DT, I feed live, live gut bacteria. I feed live foods. I feed scallops and oysters and all that kind of stuff. And, you know what? At the end of the day, as long as you have an aquarium full of healthy animals, your fish and corals aren't dying and everything is healthy and everything's thriving, it really doesn't matter how you got there, as long as you got there and you're continuing to be successful. But if you're not, if something goes wrong,
you're happy.
If something goes wrong, then change direction, do something different. Don't just keep trying the same thing that's failed and expect a different result. Do something different. But whatever you're doing, if it's working for you, just keep doing it. Right?
That's right. That's like people buy Moorish idols. They get a tank last Tuesday to buy a Moorish idol. They think they're going to keep it for 20 years.
Right.
They're not. It's that type of fish.
People are impatient.
People are impatient.
They're impatient. They want.
You start a tank last year, it's not going to be healthy.
Well, and so to that point, that is one of the
unless you go to all live rock in there. Yes.
That's one of the things I think where Facebook and social media kind of becomes a problem, because you have all these people on social media that are like showing off and they're like, oh my God, look I have a Moorish idol and I have acros, and people see that and they're like, I want that too. And I want it right now. They don't want to, take the time to learn what they need to learn to kind of build up to that point. They want, it's like instant satisfaction, right?
And if they learned, they would find out that nobody has ever kept a Moorish idol that I know more than about 8 years. That fish should probably live 15 years. Nobody's kept.
The longest I kept one was 5. Well, and I had one that was 5, and I had one that was like 3 or 4.
Yeah,
but
me too. 5 years. That's a dismal failure. I did the same thing.
And that Moorish idol was quarantined that I had for 5 years.
Well, mine wasn't that I had them for 5 years. Now, I swam many hours with Moorish idols in Hawaii and Tahiti. They're very common fish. They're one of the most common fish. They eat dead algae, dying algae, and sponge. That's all they eat. So they they must be missing something in the tank. I don't know. No matter what you feed it, after 5-6 years, they drop dead. Unless it's in a public aquarium, that's different now. They can eat corals and whatever they want.
Mine, the whole problem is that if they encounter any aggression from any other fish, they stop eating and then they usually just die from that.
Yeah, the other fish bite their fin off on the top.
Right. Because I made the mistake of trying to, the last one I had, I tried to keep it with a blue angel. I just really liked the blue angel, and the blue angel just kept harassing it, and then eventually just stopped, eating. And
mine didn't get harassed. Just after about 5 years, he just didn't want to eat anymore. I don't know. I don't know what happens to those fish, but that's a fish that newbies shouldn't get.
Well, you know what? There's actually a guy I know. So what he's doing, and he's got like a 500-gallon tank. He has 7 of them. He keeps them in sort of like a school, like a shoal, right? And he says that if you do that, then that kind of like, strength in numbers, it kind of builds up their confidence, and they don't get easily bullied by other fish. And
Maybe the ones I've seen in Tahiti, they lived in pairs. Like the male, I guess it's the male, I don't know, one of them would find this, they ate like this lime green sponge in Tahiti. That's all I've seen them eat. It was a sticky stuff. And one of them would come, I guess it's the male, I don't know. He would find this sponge and he'd start eating it. And then the female or the other one would come from 100 yards away around the reef. And then she would start eating. And as soon as she started eating, he'd go around looking for another piece of green sponge. But these things would swim like a football field around the reef, continuously going around. I don't know how they found each other. And he would always find this sponge. Now, Hawaii, they didn't do that. Hawaii, they were just eating dead. Hawaii's reefs are dead. It's a horrible place to die. But in Hawaii, they eat like this dead algae that's all over the rocks and everything. This dying algae is all over the place. And they eat that. There's no other fish around but Moorish idols because nothing else could eat that stuff. It's Moorish idols and urchins. And whatever it is in that kind of food, they need that. And after so many years, they don't get it, they drop dead. But anyway, that's one kind of fish. There's also the blue spotted, the orange spotted filefish. Very hard to keep. One guy is breeding them, but they're very hard to keep. The twin spotted gobies, them little sand sifting gobies, very hard to keep. You shouldn't get these kind of fish, but people don't know that when they go to the fish store, they see this fish for $20 and they buy it.
Right.
You got to learn. You got to know what you're doing, Little research. I went to Petco yesterday. I asked the guy working in the fish department what this fish was. He didn't know. I said, how much it is? He said, no. I said, for $20, I'll take it. I don't know what that is.
Does anyone have any questions for Paul or Bobby?
Yeah, I'm old now. It's past my bedtime.
Alisa, do you have the names for the duck race?
Sure do.
Well, let's let them experience that. Paul's an honorary member, so if he wins, we'll
duck race.
Duck race.
That's right. We live for the duck races.
Are we all on there?
Never did.
I hope so.
I see me in the middle there. Okay. Ducks are my favorite animal.
What address did you send it to?
All right, are you? Oh, I can
When do the ducks go?
double. Hold on.
As soon as she starts them.
Can you see okay?
I can.
Yeah, we can see it.
If I don't win, it's fixed.
Oh, start.
Oh, there they go.
I can't see the ducks.
I'm the last one.
That's good because normally the winner comes from behind.
Oh yeah, well I'm pretty far behind.
Man, I'm like a Great Britain's duck.
Come on, Tim, put the turbo on there.
Even Humble's beating me.
Go, Paul. Go, Paul.
Oh man, I think this is fixed. I'm all the way in the back.
No, that's a good place.
Humble's beating me. And look at the shape he's in compared to me. Uh-oh. Who's Joe?
Stuff is happening.
Joe always wins.
Oh man.
Why did you ship it?
But he's not today.
Oh, looks like Chuck.
Looks like Chuck's gonna win.
Oh, it's Matt.
Oh, Matt.
Oh man, we got to
I came in like second or third. Yeah.
We got to redo.
Alicia, ducks are my favorite animals. If you read my Vietnam book, you see my duck.
We got to rerun that because I
Okay.
can't win my own prize.
Right?
I mean, I'm glad to win, but yeah, I'm not going to
Probably
win my own
cheated.
prize.
Don't race.
Here we go.
Oh, now this is better. I'm near the front.
What is this for? Like a pump?
No, it's for a hat.
Overhead.
No,
Oh,
but
yeah,
we have.
I need more hats.
So if Paul wins, make sure the hat has parasites on it.
Okay, we will.
Remember, I got my salt here.
Come on. Come on.
Uh-oh.
Oh, somebody's coming from behind.
Looks like Chuck.
Destiny. Nope. Matt,
Nope.
you again?
It better not be me again.
I think Destiny's gonna win. I don't know. There's something.
Are you kidding me? Are you? That's 2 in a row. That I don't
Oh,
think
that's
it's ever
fixed.
happened.
That says something.
That's fixed.
All right.
Why don't you just
How-
take him out if you don't want to win? You can't?
Go, Bobby. Go, Paul.
Oh, Bobby's beating me. You don't even know how to swim. Looks like you fed that duck worms.
No, I'm not gonna win because I'm gonna fall back now.
Yeah.
You got tired there.
I feel sorry. I don't want to beat Paul. So
Oh, this is me. Paul B. There's another Paul over there. I was looking at the wrong Paul.
Oh, Paul B, this might be you.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
No.
Oh, you're
not
in it.
you again.
I don't know. I think maybe either Lacey or Brian. Huh?
Yeah, it looks like that.
Maybe Paul. He might come.
I don't know. I could use another hat.
He could use another hat.
I think Matt's going to come racing back again. He can win again.
I think so too. Well, Bobby's beating me now.
Oh no, Jules.
Jules.
I think it was. Oh, Jules. I didn't see that.
Yeah, Jules came in the end. I know. I'll reach out to Jules.
Oh man, so close, so close.
Hey, Ward, how are you doing?
I didn't win.
Good man, how are y'all doing tonight?
Can't complain.
Like tomorrow.
Having fun.
I see.
Paul, we'll send you a hat.
Yeah, I need more hats.
That you do.
Okay.
I
I hear double.
Look at this out here. A little big, huh?
Yeah, what is that? Oh, that's you.
It's my arm like that, yeah. Hopefully big.
Yeah.
That's why. Okay, I'm better now. I fixed it. Well, I'm gonna stop recording probably.